So I said it earlier in one of my other walks, but of all of my obsessions, quote unquote obsessions, that I've had throughout my life, uh, and that's like professional wrestling, that's AI, that's a few other things. Uh, One of the first obsessions I ever had was Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is one of the few franchises that I have held on to forever. Uh, no matter what iterations it goes through, no matter where it stands in the current zeitgeist of the world, Dragon Ball has always been the one constant in my life I have always paid attention to and always adhered to. It's one of my favorite shows ever, one of my favorite things ever, There's a lot of people that, grow out of that, but Dragon Ball's different, in my opinion. I mean, it's kind of did for anime, in my opinion, what Star Wars did for sci-fi, in a lot of respects. Ultimately, I'm not the biggest fan of anime, but that's not the point of this video. I'll get into that. I'll get into that whole can of worms maybe in a future walk. Um, but this is actually more of a video about commenting on the news about Dragon Ball Daima. Um, I made a video years ago talking about Dragon Ball Super back when it was reported uh, as being titled Dragon Ball Cho, which is actually a Japanese word, I think, for super. So, that was a fucking old ass video, goddamn. I have a history on this channel. Some some of you watching this video might know about that history, maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But I have a history on this channel of doing some Dragon Ball related content. It's all still there. You can find it if you feel like it. I made an audio drama about Dragon Ball, a really terrible audio drama. Uh, I have engaged in discourse with Dragon Ball fans. I have often called out some fans of Dragon Ball. Um, and it's all there. It's all still there. It's not like I took any of it down, as much as some of it's out of date, out of print, as it were. Um, it's still there, and I stand by a lot of the things I've said in those videos. Like, even when I made like a follow up to my geekdom video, I didn't really mean that, or at the time maybe I meant that, but in hindsight, I stand by what I said in my original attack on geekdom. But again, that's neither here nor there, because ironically enough, this is news that I've known about for a while with Dragon Ball Daima, what was internally referred to as Dragon Ball Magic. Um, I was aware of already because I follow Geekdom. By the way, I watch his videos all the time. I still do to this day. Uh, I may have some issues with some of his personal quick quirks with him, but whatever. He still delivers the news, and he's always right. Maybe he's not always right, but I don't think he's ever been wrong intentionally. And I'm going off on a tangent here, but I just wanted to comment a little bit on that. It's that he's never been wrong about anything. He's always been, right about stuff. And like, there's no like, uh, how do you put this exactly? Like the information that Geekdom has had about, like various different subjects related to Dragon Ball has never been wrong. He's never been wrong. It's just that internally everything changed. Everything internally changed from the notes that he received from his sources. So, people saying that he's been wrong or he's lying or he's scamming people, you're not thinking fourth dimensionally. I'll be nice, and I'll say you're not thinking fourth dimensionally. That's neither here nor there. I want to comment on Dragon Ball Daima, and like a lot of people, I'm not necessarily keen on the concept of it, but then again, most of the concepts of new Dragon Ball, most people are not keen on in general. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the new content that comes out related to Dragon Ball has been weird. The concepts are always weird. And you have to have been paying attention to understand that. Like there's a lot of people who make comments who don't actually follow Dragon Ball religiously, like I do. Because again, I already knew about this information because Geekdom reported on it weeks ago, about Dragon Ball Magic. And even before that, there was already internal rumblings gotten from Geekdom, plus some other sources, that indicated that there was something in the works and that we were going to hear about it. It was reported as a web anime. Now, they didn't say anything about Dragon Ball Daima being a web anime, but, I don't know. It's interesting. It just sounds like it's going to be like a straight series. They didn't say anything about it streaming, so I don't really know. There's still not a whole lot of information about that. But I'm not necessarily keen on the concept because it definitely reminds people of the dark times in Dragon Ball, and the dark times being Dragon Ball GT, which, depending on certain lenses, has been reevaluated by a lot of people in the same way that the prequels have been reevaluated for Star Wars. It reeks a little bit of Goku turning into a kid in Dragon Ball GT and just being a kid. And I can understand the trepidation behind that. I get that. And the argument that I've heard from some people for it is to say, oh, well, this time everybody's been turned into a kid. Woo! I think that's a poor argument because it's just like, it's the same show. It's the same concept. Regardless of whether it's just one guy who turns into a kid or everybody turns into a kid, it's still the same concept. And just the concept of the chibification, I'm going to start that word now, of certain characters can be frustrating. It's just the concept of turning those characters into kids is a frustrating concept. And I wish that they would refrain from doing stuff like that. However, that being said, every new piece of content that we've received from Dragon Ball has been embraced with loving arms. You can talk about the quality of the animation of the early episodes of Super, but you know what? We need to move past that. That point has been long since forgotten in the quote-unquote Dragon Ball community. Nobody talks about that anymore. It comes up occasionally, but it's just like, move on from it. There's good content in the Dragon Ball universe. Those on the outside commenting on that are no longer in the community, quote-unquote community. So it's just like you don't have anything of value to contribute anymore. I'm just being real with you on that. So stop bringing up that fucking bullshit. Outside of the animation issues in Super in the beginning, Super is fine. It's something that people are still watching, or not watching, but people are still reading because there's a manga version of it. It's still going. Despite the fact that the show is not on the air, it is still a thing that's going. Would I prefer that we have the return of Dragon Ball Super? Yes. I would like to see the return of Dragon Ball Super so we can get those Moro arc adaptations, so we can get Granola, so we can get all that shit. Now, you can argue about the quality of Moro or the quality of Granola all day, every day. But like, every piece of content that we've received outside of what's going on in the manga right now has been stellar. Um, Everything that Akira Toriyama himself has been directly involved in, and I mean directly. I don't mean just writing an overview and then having Toyotaro take it and, put his stamp on it. I'm talking everything that Akira Toriyama himself has been involved in directly has been pure gold. Dragon Ball Super Broly was a great fucking movie. I stand by that. I don't give a fuck about, Bardock being, more of a goody guy or any of that. I don't care. Just the film itself was just, it felt like a movie. You know what I mean? Like, he knows how to fucking make a movie. He knows how to write still. In my opinion, his writing is actually quite good. And it's still quite good. And he still got it. He still remembers everything. Even if at one point he forgot, he still adheres to the canon for the most part. Like, there's really not too many plot holes that I can think of offhand. Dragon Ball Super, Superhero. Great movie. For completely different reasons. I mean, and here's the thing, is that every single one of these pieces of content, the initial reaction was always like, what? 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 Who? What? And the reality is that when that shit has come out, the fandom has loved it. Maybe not everybody has loved every piece of content. Maybe not everybody loves Superhero or Broly, or the fucking manga as it currently stands. But, it's still fucking overall received with open arms and, arms wide open, things like that. I had to do that, I'm sorry. So I don't really expect too much different from this. The difference is that it's going to be a show and not a movie. And that being said, there is another movie that supposedly they're working on right now too, or at least is in some form of pre-production. I mean, all things being equal, yes, the animation for this show will be incredible. It'll be as incredible probably as what you would get out of the Broly movie or Superhero, depending on your preferred preference in terms of, the animators, and the way that they do the animation. I don't know which side of the aisle Daima is going to fall under. I don't know if it's going to be like a blending of Superhero and Broly, or if it's going to go full Broly, but just with like even higher definition animation. I mean, it looked pretty fucking... The quality was pretty big. I don't care about animation, to be completely honest, though. I'm just interested in the stories and the concepts. And as much as I am not a fan of the concept, I'm obviously going to give it the same chance I give everything in Dragon Ball. Because, at the end of the day, I think that the one thing that we can all agree on, though, is that, we can give everything in Dragon Ball a chance, right? And typically it turns out to be good. At least these days. I can't say the same about Dragon Ball Heroes. I think universally, we can all agree that Dragon Ball Heroes is pretty fucking bad. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think that, yes, it could turn out to be trash, but anything and everything can turn out to be trash. Most things are trash. But I feel like Dragon Ball has been the shining light. Maybe I'm biased, I don't know. Dragon Ball is the beacon, the hope of the universe, as it were. And personally, it's just like it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be a-okay. Don't get so worked up about a concept, because you're probably gonna wind up loving it, because it's gonna surprise you. It's gonna be something that you didn't expect to happen, and you're gonna love it. Or you're gonna hate it. I don't know. But it's still, at the end of the day, right? We don't know what it is. We know what it is, but we don't know what it is. And, as with every piece of new content, we are going to discern, discuss, and it's probably going to be huge. It's probably going to be great. Yes, I would prefer it if it were the continuation of Dragon Ball Super. I would prefer that, which is ironic considering a lot of people on the outside looking in who left Dragon Ball after Super always have to make their fucking comments about Dragon Ball Super. And the reality is, people are clamoring for it, though. People clamor for the return of Dragon Ball Super all the fucking time. They want Dragon Ball Super to come back. I would be remiss if I didn't think that this was done intentionally on the side of Toei, Shueisha, maybe even Akira Toriyama himself, building up that hunger by giving us other content and other things. I want to go into more of a deep dive of Dragon Ball here on one of these walks. I might just do that. Not today, but I might just do that on another walk. And, it's such a fascinating series because no matter what comes out of it, it's one of the few franchises that I feel like hasn't lost its luster, even when it has lost its luster, if that makes any sort of sense. Getting next to a cement truck, so it's going to be kind of loud here. So I'm probably going to end the video, but those are kind of my initial thoughts, is that I already knew that this was coming. I knew it wasn't going to be Dragon Ball Super 2 at that panel, which, by the way, fuck New York Comic-Con for blocking out all that shit, or whoever the fuck I made that decision. Whether it was New York Comic-Con or Toei or Shueisha, Bandai, whoever the fuck did it, fuck them. This is 2023. That shit should be available to see on streams, because literally you can watch any promotional stream for anything and you'll see all of the shit, unless you're CinemaCon. Get with the fucking program. Anyway, that's my thoughts, my initial thoughts on Dragon Ball Daima. And if it's great, then, it's a continuation of the greatness that we keep getting from the direct hands of Akira Toriyama. If it sucks, well, then I guess he's lost a little bit of a step. But I have a feeling that it's probably not going to suck. But we'll see. Anyway, peace out. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll talk more about Dragon Ball very soon.